evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Limpim Vishum. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 22nd of September. Afghanistan celebrates end to political crisis as Ghani elected new president. India slams Bilawal Butto's remark on Kashmir. And India's Mars mission clears critical tests 2 days before entering orbit. And now for all the details. As Afghanistan announced its new president, celebrations continued even on Monday. Ashraf Ghani, who is set to become the next leader, was chosen after the two presidential candidates agreed for a power-sharing deal, ending the months-long political deadlock.
Jubilant supporters of presidential designate Ashraf Ghani Ahmadzai took to the streets of Afghanistan as soon as the news came out about the agreement that would allow him the next president. Residents of capital Kabul said the new national government can take the country forward to a better future.
موږ اشرف غنی ته مبارکي ورکوو او الله دې وکړي چې د حکومت همداسې خوشحاله تیر سي او د ده مخالف ټیم عبدالله ته مبارکي موږ وایو چې دواړه په ګډه سره یو ښه حکومت او ښه راغلاست حکومت ورته وایي دواړو ته.
The months-long uncertainty ended on Sunday after Ghani and his rival Abdullah entered into a deal allowing the Election Commission to announce the results. According to the new arrangement, Ghani will be the president of the country while Abdullah will be holding the office of the chief executive officer with powers similar to Prime Minister. Outgoing Afghan President Hamid Karzai, who was also present at the occasion, expressed satisfaction over the deal.
Afghanistan millat د خپل آینده حکومت د جوړښت امضا ولیده او ډېر خوشحاله یم چې زموږ دوه محترم ورونه محترم ډاکټر اشرف غني احمدزی محترم ډاکټر صاحب عبدالله په یو افغاني تفاهم کې د دې وطن د خیر او ښېګڼې دپاره او د ترقي او هوساینې دپاره سره په مشوره او سلا سوه او د افغانستان دپاره د آینده حکومت جوړښت تنظیم کړ.
What was supposed to be the first democratic transfer of power in Afghanistan since the fall of the Taliban regime ran into troubled waters after the first round of elections in April failed to find a clear winner. The second round of runoff vote in June was marred by allegations and counter-allegations of electoral fraud from both sides. Ghani, who will be assuming office as the 13th president of Afghanistan, will have the uphill task of leading the war-ravaged country in the face of growing Taliban threat and the impending NATO troops withdrawal by the end of this year.
A side event of the 27th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council highlighted on Islamabad's illegal occupation of the Himalayan region of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. A report.
Speaking at the recently held event in the United Nations in Geneva, observers and activists focused on the deteriorating security situation and attacks on minorities in Pakistan.
Human Rights Commission of Pakistan states in the report State of Human Rights 2013 that the situation for minorities in Pakistan are getting worse. Pakistan has become a more and more dangerous country for religious minorities, grow increasingly intolerant of dissent from journalists and struggled with strategies to tackle threats such as militant extremism and intolerance, according to this report.
The event titled The Human Rights in South Asia also raised the issue of human rights violations in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. Civil society activists, human rights defenders and academicians stressed on Pakistan's move of exploiting the remote region's rich natural resources apart from curbing the political autonomy. Kashmiri leaders blame Pakistan for allegedly controlling the region through a proxy government and its secret agencies which have a stranglehold over every aspect of both POK and Gilgit-Baltistan.
So-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, which is illegally occupied by Pakistan, where despite democratic elections, the new government peripheries established secret agencies, and forces have badly and ruthlessly repressed the democratic process and denied peoples their rights.
Kashmiris also accused Pakistan's spy agencies for suppressing the national movement through enforced disappearances and targeted killings.
Many people are disappeared from the district Kotli and other parts of so-called Azad Kashmir by agencies. The whereabouts of these disappeared are yet unknown. Another region, which is known as Gilgit-Baltistan, present a very dismal picture of the right situation after passing 67 years under Pakistan's control.
Pakistan, which forcibly occupied the region more than 6 decades back, has plundered the region's rich natural resources without paying any royalty. This has also affected the livelihood of the locals. The exploitation and lack of economic opportunities have pushed about 3/4 of the population below poverty line.
New Delhi has reacted strongly to Pakistan People's Party or PPP leader Bilawal Butto Zardari's claim of capturing Kashmir from India. Indian Foreign Ministry said Bilawal's statement was far from reality.
India said PPP chairman Bilawal Butto Zardari's controversial statement on Kashmir was not in the better interest of improving relations between the two neighbours.
I don't need to comment on any comment that is made which is so far away from reality, which takes us back into the past century. We are in the process of looking forward. And looking forward does not mean that our borders will be changed.
26-year-old Bilawal had on Friday, while addressing a party meeting in Karachi, claimed that he will capture Kashmir from India if his party comes to power. The son of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto and former President Asif Ali Zardari, Bilawal had earlier announced intention to contest the next general election in Pakistan. India's federal ruling Bharatiya Janata Party said Bilawal was trying to gain political mileage using Kashmir.
कश्मीर को जो पाकिस्तानी पॉलिटिशियंस हैं उन्होंने अपने पॉलिटिक्स का पैराशूट बना दिया है और हर दिन जो है वो कश्मीर का राग अलापना, हर जी कश्मीर में हम ये करेंगे वो करेंगे, ये सारी चीजें कहना, तो इसलिए जो है वो पाकिस्तानी पॉलिटिशियंस ने कश्मीर को अपनी पॉलिटिक्स का पैराशूट बनाने की कोशिश की है और सभी पॉलिटिशियंस का एक ही तरह का राग होता है.
Pakistan already controls 5,134 square miles of Kashmir, which it illegally occupied in 1947 and calls it Azad or Independent Kashmir. The disputed region has always been a sour point between the two neighbouring countries ever since.
On to some other developments now. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet his Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly meeting later this month. The foreign ministers of both the neighbours held a high-level engagement over the weekend.
Bangladesh Foreign Minister Abul Hassan Mahmood Ali, along with his Indian counterpart Sushma Swaraj, finalized the schedule for the first meeting between the country heads of both the nations in New York later this month. Both the ministers also discussed bilateral and regional issues during the third meeting of the India-Bangladesh Joint Consultative Commission, which met in Indian capital New Delhi on Saturday. India has agreed to cooperate with Bangladesh in areas including civil nuclear and outer space technology. Bangladesh Foreign Minister Ali said the bilateral ties should be built on the historic partnership of the two countries.
I look forward to building on the positive developments of the past few years for forging greater convergence in our policies and practices.
Bangladesh, which shares over 2,545 miles boundary with India, is its largest trading partner in South Asia with a trade volume of $4.5 billion in 2013.
After his anti-government protests in capital Islamabad lost steam, cricketer turned politician Imran Khan has now taken his demonstrations across the country. Khan said the protests will end only with the resignation of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif.
Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or PTI has been holding protests in Islamabad for over 6 weeks. But with the government refusing to quit under pressure, Khan has adopted a new strategy. Now he is set to take his protest across Pakistan. Khan kicked off the second round of his anti-government demonstrations in southern Karachi on Sunday. He was joined by former cricketer Javed Miandad, former Olympian Samiullah Khan and TV show host Waqar Zaka. Khan called on all ethnic groups in the commercial hub to stand up against the Sharif government.
तकदीर में गुलामी लिखी हुई होती है हम ये गुलामी की जंजीरें तोड़ने आए हैं
The government, which has been on the foot back since the demonstrations broke out, had last week hinted at a possible crackdown in the capital, but no action has been taken so far.
India's maiden Mars mission, the Mangalyaan, cleared a major step on Monday before making its entry into the Martian orbit. The Indian Space Research Organisation successfully test-fired the crucial liquid engine before it is launched into the Red Planet's orbit on Wednesday. The $70 million project, which was set off in November last year, is India's first intra-planet exploration. The Mangalyaan is also the cheapest Mars probe undertaken so far by any country. NASA's Maven mission, which entered the Mars orbit late on Sunday, was launched at a cost of $671 million. While the rescue work in India's flood-hit Jammu and Kashmir continues, several organizations from across the country are tying up with the Indian Army to help in providing relief to the needy. Take a look.
The Indian Army is doing whatever it takes to reach out to those affected in the catastrophe. The armed forces, in support of various organizations across the nation, are at the forefront for providing relief to the people of flood-ravaged Jammu and Kashmir.
Civil administration, different groups, NGOs और आर्मी का हमेशा यहाँ मैंने आके ये भी देखा कि बहुत अच्छा तालमेल है और इस तालमेल का ये नतीजा है कि इन्होंने मतलब ये एक एफर्ट की है और ये बहुत बढ़िया एफर्ट है.
The mountainous state, which remains flooded for over a fortnight now, has witnessed rigorous rescue and relief work undertaken by the Indian Army, Air Force and the National Disaster Relief Force ever since the catastrophe struck. Locals lauded the indispensable role of Indian Army during the disaster.
उसने काफ़ी रेस्क्यू किया, मेडिकल कैंपस पे पहुंचा वो और काफ़ी उनको राशन दे दिया, उनको वहाँ से जो फंसे लोग थे उनको निकाला. आर्मी ने बहुत काम किया.
Indian Army officials said their aim was to reach out to every possible person who required help.
We are assisting the state government in relief material distribution primarily and trying to give aid to those who are still stuck in their houses.
In one of the biggest relief operations in the country ever, the 30,000 deployed troops have rescued over 226,000 so far in the Himalayan state. Indian Army, along with the Border Road Organization, has been working round the clock to revive the bridges collapsed at various places across the Kashmir Valley.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Afghanistan celebrates end to political crisis as Ghani elected new president. India slams Bilawal Butto's remark on Kashmir. And India's Mars mission clears critical test 2 days before entering orbit. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.